Hi, Ben Schwellen, welcome to my channel, and today I'm talking about the 6 easiest languages to learn for an English speaker. When talking about what languages are easiest to learn, what's really crucial is what languages you speak already. If you speak Spanish and Maltese, Arabic is going to be really easy for you. If you speak Welsh and English, the Irish language is going to be really easy for you because of all the loanwords and transactions between those two languages. I've narrowed it down to 3 categories about what we can really measure what makes a language easy for you to learn or not. The first of those is vocabulary. Now, all languages have loanwords from other languages, and if that language happens to have a lot of loanwords from a specific language, it's going to help you. For instance, if you know Turkish, Romanian is going to be a bit easier because there are loanwords from the Turkish language in Romanian. But for us, as English speakers, we're going to have a lot of loanwords in other European languages. And we're going to have a lot of loanwords in some of the Near East languages as well. The second thing is grammar. So every language has constructions which are different. You have things like synthetic, analytic, and agglutinative languages, which have different ways to form languages. And depending on what your language's base construct is, it's going to make it easier or more difficult to learn languages which share those basic constructs in forming sentences. The third thing is culture. You can have a language which is really near to another language culturally, like Estonian and Lithuanian. And they may be very, very, very different grammatically, but they're going to have a lot in common with history, culture, even identity and how they view themselves, so that will help you get a lot of context when learning a language. So the first language, Dutch. Now that's probably no surprise, it's the nearest language which has its own state. There's quite a few people who speak it. You can have entire sentences which sound basically the same as English, and more importantly, the words build on each other with small little words that over. These two words are cognates in Dutch and English. You can have a lot of crossover from that. And the grammar is pretty simple. They're both Germanic languages. You can get by with just a few phrases and you can build on that very easily in Dutch. The second language is also a Germanic language, Swedish. The grammar is very simple. You have a lot of core words which you can use very quickly, transferable from English. With about 600 study hours, you're going to be able to speak the language. It's not going to be too difficult for an English speaker. There's not really any conjugations to worry about like you get with Latin languages and Slavic languages. There's no case system like German, which is going to simplify that again. And there's a lot of influence from culture, believe it or not, via Swedish and English. Hey, IKEA. The third language you might not expect, but Afrikaans. It's a sister language to Dutch, spoken in South Africa, and it's really similar to English in a lot of ways, and more importantly, the grammar is really, really simple comparatively to even Dutch or Swedish in most cases. There are a lot of loanwords from African languages, but you can overcome that with the similarity to how this language is shaped. And there are quite a few speakers of Afrikaans, which really helps. There's going to be a lot of cultural context as well, because Afrikaans is in vicinity to English speakers in South Africa. There's a lot of crossover. A lot of the culture goes both ways. It's going to help you as you progress and learn the language. The fourth language, French. It's not a Germanic language, but it is English's closest Latin language. Centuries of cross between the two. Over 35% of the English vocabulary is French. We have loads of cultural interaction. I mean, I could go on and list words for hours that come from French. If you hear someone speaking standardized French in the news, just using your English vocabulary, you're going to get what the subject is about, and that's really going to help you. Interestingly, the grammar is very similar in word order. It's going to be a consistent similarity to English that's going to help you. English has been influenced by French loads over the centuries. We're going to get a lot of their cultural nuance, and that's going to help you. Fifth, Spanish. Now, Spanish is quite recent in its marked influence upon English via the United States, and via the United States again going into British English, you do get influence from Spanish, and you do get that Latin vocabulary for academic, scientific stuff that you can get through your Latin and your French vocabulary in English. Culturally, yeah, you're going to get a lot there. It's in pop songs now. You hear it, you get little simple words. All that small information is going to help you. One advantage that Spanish has is that it's phonetically, it has quite a few phonemes, which are sounds. So fewer sounds than, say, Swedish or French. So that's going to help you. There is a bit of an Arabic influence, which gives it a more unique vocabulary. But because there are so few sounds and you can get past that barrier quite immediately, it's definitely in the top 5 or 6 languages for ease for an English speaker. The sixth is Welsh. Now you might be like, whoa, a Celtic language, but actually Welsh has shared an island with Britain since English began as a language. Welsh actually has some vague verb influences on English, and people in Welsh use loads of English loanwords. You could say that Welsh is actually an Anglo-Celtic language by this point, because the sheer amount of loanwords in daily conversation, English speakers are going to be able to understand Welsh speakers speaking Welsh just because the amount of loanwords. They'll get at least what subject they're speaking if they listen attentively and try and pick out little bits of English spoken in Welsh. There are some very different grammars in Welsh, very different sounds, but there's a lot of sounds that have been influenced in Welsh by English, and you get a lot of cultural references. Pop songs even been translated into Welsh. You can get a lot of that over centuries of time. So because of that long-term, extensive cultural contact, Welsh is actually much easier to learn as a Celtic language than most English speakers would just assume. Right, so just to recap, 6 languages that are most easy for an English speaker would be Dutch, Swedish, Afrikaans, French, Spanish, and Welsh. Now, when you approach a new language, there's going to be a lot of different variations. There's different ways to learn each language, but just basically based on vocabulary, grammar, and cultural. Those are the 6 languages that you can easiest learn in the shortest amount of time if you're trying to get a new language. If you could hit the like button and the subscribe button, I'd be really happy. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next week.